Welcome to the Gavel. I'm Terry Ikumi. Here's a look into the activities of Nigeria's Parliament. President Bola Tinubu has submitted the 2025 Appropriation Bill for Rivers State to the National Assembly for consideration following the suspension of the governor and the State House of Assembly. Now, in separate letters addressed to the leadership of the National Assembly, the president proposed a total of 1.481 trillion naira. And the Senate has passed for second reading the Proceeds of Crime bill. So here's a report on the activities of the Senate this past week.
We stand down all other items on the other paper.
A bill titled Proceeds of Crime Recovery and Management, sponsored by Senator Idiat Adegbule, was debated on the first legislative day in the Red Chamber.
That the management of proceeds of crime should be separated from the duties of agencies responsible for the investigation, prosecution, and recovery of proceeds of crime assets. To this end, this amendment hopes to ensure transparency, check and balances in the management of recovered assets designated as proceeds of crime, establish an agency vested with the administration and management of forfeited or recovered assets and properties designated as proceeds of crime.
Lawmakers argued for and against the bill.
I don't think there is need for us to create an agency to manage recovery of proceeds. But the existing laws that we have should be strengthened. Where necessary, we should amend. Once it is declared proceeds of recovery, it should go to the states or the federal government. And this is my take.
There are leakages in the sale of these assets by those agencies that recover these assets. Okay, there are situations where these assets are sold to the staff of those agencies. And what she is saying that we need to block those leakages. Let there be an independent agent, okay, comprised of valuers and accountants that can get us the best value for these assets.
When put to vote, there was no clear dissenting voice.
This bill be now read a second time. Please say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
Shortly after plenary, the Senate caucus of the People's Democratic Party convened a media briefing to address recent developments, including a fresh wave of defections of lawmakers from the party to the APC.
Contrary to the insinuations that the PDP is in shreds and at the verge of collapse, the party remains very, very strong and will continue to work stronger. The PDP Senate caucus observes that the current conflicts in the PDP is not unique to the PDP alone, as other political parties, for example, the All Progressive Congress, the Labour Party, and the New Nigerian People's Party, have their own shares of crises and conflicts. As the biggest of all the opposition parties, the PDP's umbrella is big enough to accommodate all persons desirous of coalition. The People's Democratic Party, therefore, should drive the coalition when and if it becomes necessary. Celebrating the emasculation of other parties and tilting towards the one-party state certainly will not advance the cause of democracy.
On the second legislative day, a letter from President Bola Tinubu requesting approval of the River State budget was read by the Senate President.
The distinguished Senate may wish to recall that River State is currently under emergency rule. In the absence of the State Assembly, it's expected that the National Assembly acts on that behalf. The appropriation bill for the year 2025 is in the total sum of 1,481 billion.
The bill was referred to the ad hoc committee on emergency rule to review the proposal.
The Senate ad hoc committee to revert to us as soon as practicable.
The letter was also read in the House of Representatives by the Speaker.
324 billion is for infrastructure. both ongoing and new projects. The sum of 166 billion is for health sector.
Infrastructure topped the list with a proposed 324 billion naira, while the health sector is allocated 106 billion naira, including 5 billion naira earmarked for free malaria drugs. The education sector is set to receive 75.6 billion, while 31.4 billion naira is proposed for agricultural development. Back in the upper chamber, a motion under urgent public importance was raised on the urgent need to address imbalances in the allocation of 380 billion naira Renewed Hope Infrastructure Development Fund.
And every part of the country deserves infrastructural development. It is not wise in allocating resources to sometimes over-allocate to one zone at the expense of other zones.
The motion was then stepped down.
Every geopolitical zone that you turn to, there will be one issue or the other that they would have wished were handled differently. And by way of also a motion, is to say that we step down further consideration of this motion to allow time for the leadership of this Senate to interface with the Honorable Minister of Water Resources.
Now, the House of Representatives is urging the federal government to intervene and rescue Nigerians living in Saudi Arabia affected by recent reforms by the Saudi authorities. The House is also on a path to address the non-payment of pension increment and withholding of approved palliatives by the government. Meanwhile, the Deputy Speaker of the House is calling for a comprehensive review of all available technical reports by the Joint Admissions and Matriculations Board and an independent audit of its CBT system. We have these and more from the House of Representatives.
A new legislative week commences in the Green Chamber as lawmakers reconvene for the first plenary session of the week. Honorable Bello Shehu is quick to draw the attention of the House to unfolding events in Saudi Arabia affecting Nigerians living in that country.
Saudi authorities in August 2024 introduced significant reforms. The reform have affected so many Nigerians living in Saudi Arabia for years with large families. The reforms had pushed some of them out of their jobs, while some of them are faced with high fees for renewal of their documents and other permits. They can't afford renewal and can't exit the country as they possess no means of paying accumulated overstayed.
The prayers of the motion are adopted as the House Committee on Foreign Affairs is mandated to follow up on the matter. The attention is also drawn to the non-implementation of the approval in 2023 by the President of a 25,000 naira wage award palliative and an additional 32,000 naira pension increase for federal pensioners.
It was a gesture by the federal government to the pensioners. They further now said that 32,000 naira be approved and increased by the Federal Executive Council to their money as a form of palliative. But the implementers, the Ministry of Finance and other agencies that suppose carry out this assignment by paying the money, they have not paid up to date.
A bill for an act to provide certain rights for older persons to ensure health and economic relief and protection for their social and civil rights skilled second reading.
Section 14, subsection 2b states that the security and welfare of the people are the primary purpose of government. And section 16, subsection 2d specifies that the adequate shelter, food, old age care, and pensions are to be provided for all citizens, including older persons. In elaboration, section 16, subsection 2d addresses the right of the older persons by mandating the government to provide adequate shelter, food, and social security, including old age care and pensions, to all citizens. This implies that older persons have a right to these basic needs and services. Older people are too often stereotyped as being dependent on others. They are seen as recipients of charity rather than as rights holders who can make their own choices.
Outside the chamber, the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Benjamin Kalu, in reaction to the technical errors in the 2025 UTME, which affected about 380,000 candidates in Lagos and the Southeast, commended the JAMB registrar for admitting to errors and recommends a comprehensive review of all available technical reports by JAMB. He was speaking to journalists in Abuja.
Nigeria unfortunately lost a UTME candidate to suicide, consequentially triggered by the issuing results of this technical glitch. I call for the following urgent actions. Number 1, comprehensive review of all reports. JAMB must immediately review all available technical and independent reports, including those from third-party educational technology companies that have gathered candidate-level data to fully understand the scope and implication of the crisis. Only by triangulating internal findings with external audits can we ensure that no affected candidate is left behind. Now that the rescheduled exams have concluded, I urge JAMB to commission an independent, transparent audit of its entire examination infrastructure. This audit should involve external professionals, system engineers, and academic measurement experts to scrutinize every aspect of the CBT engine.
Also speaking to journalists at the National Assembly after a public hearing on a bill to amend the National Sugar Development Council Act, an agripreneur, Oluwasegun Alabi, has observed that despite the growth in agricultural commodities export by Nigeria, especially in recent years, it still suffers significant trade deficit in the sector due to imports of processed food products.
The key to resilience and prosperous Nigeria lies not beneath the soil, but on its service in agriculture. The agricultural sector currently remains the most viable tools for diversifying the economy, ensuring food security, and driving foreign exchange earning. The agricultural sector currently remains the most viable tools for diversifying the economy, ensuring food security, and driving foreign exchange earning.
Meanwhile, the chairman of the House Committee on Pensions is assuring that pensioners will no longer struggle to access their funds as the House is in the process of amending the Pensions Act.
The major breakthrough is to make sure that pensioners are paid as at when due. It is on the basis of that we noted there are some lacunas or loopholes in the Pension Reform Act of 2014, which has been over 10 years for implementation. It is due for amendment. It is one of the breakthroughs is to have the amendment of the Act so that pensioners can be paid as at when due, and also you can access your fund. Want to change the mode and operation, want to change the percentages upon which a pensioner can access his funds after retirement. So that is one of the basic reasons why even this amendment is being done. By the end of the day, when we have this amendment, pensioners in Nigeria will laugh back to their homes with laughter. The situation going on now, whereby pensioners are complaining of lack of access to their funds after retirement, inshallah, will be a thing of the past.
Welcome back to the Gavel. Last week, the House of Representatives held an inaugural national policy dialogue as a build-up to the NASS Open Week scheduled for July. The dialogue was supported by the Policy and Legal Advocacy Center. Now here's a breakdown of the significance of that national policy dialogue.
On Monday, 12th May 2025, the House of Representatives, led by the Speaker, held an inaugural national policy dialogue on its legislative agenda. This follows from its legislative agenda covering 8 priority areas that it developed at the start of the 10th Assembly. They did this in partnership with PLAC. PLAC had supported the process of the legislative agenda, and it was only necessary for us to support the program to be able to update citizens on what they have done so far. The National Policy Dialogue covered the performance assessment of the legislature, of the House of Reps, how many bills it had introduced, the type of bills. The priority areas range from good governance issues, climate change, and open and inclusive National Assembly, and improving the security sector of Nigeria. And so at this dialogue, the Speaker presented how many bills they had introduced. Some of the achievements include the passing of the tax reform bills presented by the executive, by extension, the president. This was an achievement for them. Another achievement is the upcoming Open NASS Week, which will be the second Open NASS Week that this House of Rep will be doing. The first one was in June 2023, and they are encouraging Nigerians to follow their activities through the Open NASS coming up in July 2025. The full speech of the Speaker is on PLAC's website on www.placng.org. We encourage citizens to follow through and see areas in which the House of Representatives has performed well and areas in which they think they can do better. So the intention of this National Policy Dialogue and Open NASS is to actually make the National Assembly and the House of Representatives open to criticism and citizens' assessment of its work. I think at the end of the day, this policy dialogue will increase democratic governance and will encourage citizens to be able to engage the National Assembly instead of looking at them as just being a separate entity. This will forge better relationship between citizens and the House of Representatives. The National Policy Dialogue will probably be a yearly activity, and in the lead up to the second year, Open NASS is going to hold. It is hoped that this will be extended to the Nigerian Senate to also give a feedback on its performance to Nigerian citizens. And PLAC is happy to support that process.
Our guest on Constituency Focus this week represents Moba Elejemeje-Idosi constituency of Ekiti State in the House of Representatives, Honorable Kolawole Akinlayo.
I've done my bit, but I will still do more for them because they've been giving their support. So I can't also forsake them because it's time for me to also give back to them. And we'll do more. We'll do more than what we are doing now, by God's grace. And we have planned to do another empowerment by May ending or early June. And we've done, and what we've said is people that have benefited from this empowerment now, it should allow others to also benefit so that at least we can get across to other people that have not benefited from the one we've done now. What we've done now is to give grinding machine, give sewing machine, give fridge, freezers, give dryers, generators, give bicycle to people, and they do medical outreach for people, giving them glasses, people that has glaucoma do small minor surgery, and people that has cataract do minor surgery, and giving them glasses, and also giving them drugs for people that has malaria, typhoid. We treat them, and we also cater for them, and we give them we advise them to also be mindful of their health. They should go to hospital to do regular check especially people that has BP, because we noticed that a lot of people has BP and they don't even know. So we give them BP machine to check their blood pressure daily or sometimes once in a week. I lost my dad when I was primary 4, so I only have mom. So it was my mom that looked after me throughout. So I look at some students like that will fall in that my category too now, that maybe they don't have dad, don't have mom, and they struggle to go to school. So I just feel, okay, it's high time to give back to such category that we've experienced before too. It's for the God grace now we are where we are. So if we have gone through that stages, we should be able to also give back to that category of people. So on Sunday we organized like over 1,000 students from Maya School of Learning. I will give them bursary, all students, and we promise again to do another empowerment by May ending or early June. Lawmakers are basically to make laws. The only thing you can do is to lobby for projects for your constituency. You go to ministries, agencies, and tell them, please, if the job is for Southwest, please bring this job to my state. You tell them, you lobby them, you tell them, please bring this job to my state. That's basically the work of lawmakers. It's for us to make laws for the benefit of our people. We are not supposed to execute projects because we don't have any project to execute. But what we can do is to go to ministry agencies to lobby them and tell to them to please execute this project in my area. Like I'm from Ekiti State, and our watchword is education. So what we do is go to school. You must go to school, regardless of your background. It's a must. Nobody forced anybody to go to school in my state. I interact with my people. I ask them their needs. So that their needs is what prepared me to work hard here and make sure I provide whatever they demanded they need. Like right now, I look at my federal constituency. We do not have a single federal institution in my federal constituency. And I think my predecessor actually made effort to bring that to the constituency, but he was unable to do it. He could not finish it. So I took it up. So when I know that it's slowing down, so I took up another establishment bill, which has gone through the third reading and has been sent to Senate for concurrence. So I'm working on both bills. So make sure if those schools can be cited in my federal constituency, the people will be the greater beneficiaries. So it will benefit us because our motto for Ekiti is education.
Well, that's all the time we have on The Gavel this week. To send us feedback using the email, thegavel@channelstv.com. I'm Terry Ikumi. Goodbye.